Hey, what's up? I'm Kat and you are watching the Point Boutique YouTube channel on which we talk about buying and selling fashion. If that sounds like something that is of interest to you, then please like this video, subscribe, and if you hit that little bell icon, YouTube will tell you when we've uploaded a brand new video. And we generally upload videos on Friday with some additional days throughout the week, depending on what's going on. So let's get started. Today we're talking about value at outlets. So I think the most important question to address right off the bat is definitely what is an outlet store? And what's interesting, a lot of these outlet malls that are popping up recently are somewhat different from what outlets used to be. So as I explain this, it's not like you've been wrong about outlets your entire life if this is not your perception of what outlets are. Outlets and factory outlets can be different things.
So outlets have actually functioned quite differently throughout the years, and the words mean many different things. Here on Wikipedia, they're using the terms factory outlet and outlet somewhat interchangeably, but they do also acknowledge that a factory outlet was a store that used to be connected to the actual manufacturer of a brand, and you could buy direct from that. Today, while it's not actually attached, it is specific items from a single brand that they have manufactured specifically for that store. Whereas an outlet still could be multiple brands, or it could be from multiple seasons that didn't sell in those past seasons in a single store as well.
Having worked in retail stores, there is a period of time after a big sale where if things haven't sold, you box them up and you ship them away. You ship them to an outlet.
But be aware that that is not the only way that outlets function. A lot of outlets, when you go to an outlet mall and the name of the store is the same as the name of the retail store, that is most likely a factory outlet, even if they don't have factory in the title.
So there is the Banana Republic retail line, and then there is the Banana Republic outlet line. And this is particularly true for designer names. So if you're going to go to Kate Spade or Michael Kors or something like that, they are different items almost entirely. These are probably items that have been manufactured for the factory outlet of that name and are recreations of last season's stuff, or rather from last year, that season. There might be some things that have trickled in from the retail store. You'll probably be able to tell by looking at the tag. Pretty much every outlet has some sort of marker. Generally, it's 2 dots or 3 dots, or their logo is different. Something that you might want to do if you are questioning is you might want to take a picture of a label that you have at home from the retail store, if that's something you do have, and compare it once you get into the factory store location.
A good example of a factory outlet that manufactures a brand new line for their outlet store is J. Crew Factory. So here we are at my local J. Crew Factory, and you can check them out online as well. But if you take a look here at this garment, the tag is different. It has these 2 little dots on it, and if you are shopping and you see those dots, then you know that it is a factory-made item.
Be aware that the prices at the factory outlet are meant to be marked down. They're meant to be lower. It's just a retail tactic. It's a technique that they use. If that makes you uncomfortable, be aware that they are doing that. But be aware that the retail store is probably doing that too. I mean, there are markups so that they can pique interest with having a sale. They are basically cutting costs by reusing prints that they've already created. If they have a machine or something rigged up to create a garment, they can create that exact same garment again, but in a different fabric. So they are saving time, they're saving money, which is how they can offer it to you for a lower price.
So here I am at the outlets at Castle Rock, which is a mall in my area, and they do a good job of creating a nice shopping experience without adding unnecessary luxuries. And that is something you'll notice. They aren't going to have as fancy of fixtures, lighting, even doors at outlet malls. It's going to be much more pared down and simple.
Yes, they are cost cutting, they're saving money. It definitely cuts down on their overhead, but it also does send a psychological message to the shopper that they're in more of a warehouse setting than they would be if they went to the local mall to go to the retail store. And a lot of people they do feel betrayed, maybe that's a strong word, but I think that they do feel a little bit misled by the pricing system at the factory outlet versus the retail store. And I understand if you walked in thinking you were getting the exact same item from the retail store in the outlet, that that does feel like a little bit misleading. And I'm telling you now because it is something that I think people aren't aware of. And I think that you should be aware. And you are paying less for a lesser quality item. You're not paying the same amount. It's just being aware that you are generally getting a lesser quality item. Because if the outlet is meeting your needs and that's the price point at which you want to shop, then no one is misleading you. But if you truly think you're buying something from the retail store, I understand how that's misleading. So know that you're probably not buying something from the retail store.
And of course, to determine value, we have to consider quality. So let's take a look.
So this I got at the Loft retail store. So it's a top, a sleeveless tank. It's probably my favorite pattern that I've ever gotten from Loft, actually. I think it's adorable. From the Loft outlet, I got this, which is a dress. This colorway was also available as like a long sleeve top at retail, but it was not available as a dress. So I thought that was cool. So I ended up buying this too because I loved it so much. I would say personally, the quality between these, very similar. In my experience, the quality at the Loft outlet is a little bit lower than at Loft. If I were to buy something like suiting or dress pants from Loft, I would always go with the retail store. I personally think it makes a big difference, but for things like casual tops and dresses, I think these two are rather comparable to one another.
And at Loft, you can tell it's an outlet item because it says it on the tag.
So here's another example that I have from my closet. So this is an Express sleeveless Portofino shirt in white polka dot. I actually repurchased this at the outlet. And so this is my retail version, but I repurchased this one. It looks exactly the same. You would have no idea that it's different. And then I also got it in black and white because when I originally got it, I got the white and black, and then I loved it so much, so I went, and at the outlet, they had this one. So again, the big difference on this that you can tell automatically is the tag is different. So if you see here, we've got two little dots. Anyway, so both of these are the same size. I bought both of these as mediums, and they are the same. Like, they really are the same cut. And so you can see in this case, what Express has done is they've just taken this same cut of shirt and they have just manufactured it again. So they already had this fabric because this existed in the retail store. They just created it again for the outlet, for the factory store. And so with something like this, that really is a replica of something that's in the store, generally the quality is going to be very, very similar. It's when you get into more, especially like a shirt like this, a sleeveless shirt, it's when you get into more complicated designs that the difference in quality and fit really starts to show. As a tall lady, I have found that a lot of times factory outlet pants are shorter. They're shorter in the rise, which is from like the button down to the crotch area. The rise is shorter, which is uncomfortable and unflattering. So that's a problem. And then sometimes the length, I'll end up with, it says that it's a regular or a long or whatever I would wear in the retail store, but clearly the inseam is not the same. Things tend to be shorter, sleeves tend to be too short sometimes. So my word of advice really would be, if you go outlet shopping, just be aware that even if it says it's the exact same thing, the more complicated it is in terms of construction, the less likely it is that it actually is that same thing. They might be using a cheaper fabric, and with that cheaper fabric could come a different fit. So be sure to try it on before you buy it. So another comparison that I think is interesting to make is from the Kate Spade store. This is something that I purchased from their retail store. It's like a little card carrying case. Something that you can always tell on Kate Spade, they'll have a different little spade at the retail store versus the factory outlet store. Whereas this is physically printed on here with a little gold spade attached. The entire tag will be attached a lot of the times from the factory outlet. And so if we were to compare these two, these are both smallish items, and they have held up well. I haven't used either of them all that much. I haven't had them very long, but to just take a look at them and kind of compare quality, there isn't a huge difference between these. Not enough that I would look at them and be like, oh my goodness, I've been cheated. But there are some slight differences. The spacing of the stitching on one of these with the attached tag, it is larger. You will see it is smaller stitching, so the stitching is just closer together on this, and that does make a difference in terms of longevity of this item holding up, especially something like this that you're taking in and out of a larger bag. You want it to hold up. Take a close look if you're buying something that you assume you're going to have for a long time, like a designer bag or a suit. Take a look at things like the stitching. Be sure to really wear it and move in it if it is something like a jacket. Make sure that it really works for you, and don't get blinded by that price tag, because if you are at the factory outlet and you get something that you absolutely love for a price that you feel good about, then it's a great deal. You shouldn't be shopping to beat the system or cheat them out of money or a profit. You should be shopping to create a closet that you love, things that you actually love to wear, and that you love yourself when you put them on. And so a lot of that really isn't about the price tag. Another point that I feel like I should throw in, because from personal experience working behind a counter at a retail store that did have a factory outlet, people would come in bringing outlet returns, and they did not understand why we couldn't take them back. And it really is, that's why I want to make this video, because it isn't super clear when you go into the so-and-so's factory outlet that is a different clothing line, but they can't take it back because it is not, they don't have a SKU for it. They can't scan it, they can't put it into the computer, they don't know how much it costs. And even if you have a receipt, they can't scan that receipt. They have no way to send that bookkeeping to their corporate office. And when you're dealing with a place with a corporate office and that's who they answer to, that's who they answer to. So just know that they're not giving you a hard time. That would be like taking your Old Navy return to Gap and expecting them to take it back, because they're two brands under a larger brand umbrella, and you can't return willy-nilly. You just can't do that, because you just can't.
So that wraps up today's video. If you have other questions or comments about outlet shopping, please leave them in the comments below to help out others, or there might be something that I might want to discuss in a future video. So let me know your thoughts, and I will be happy to read them and maybe address them later on. And as always, if you are interested in some cute shoes to add to your wardrobe, please check out my boutique at www.shoppointboutique.com, and we will see you back here next Friday for a new video.
It's so bright over here. What have I done?